I think it's important that we take a minute and talk about the Armageddon box, because usually these release boxes are a pretty fascinating snapshot of where Games Workshop's design philosophy is heading right now. Since last Friday, we got to see this direction firsthand when they finally showed off all the miniatures in the box. And honestly, at this point, it feels less like a reveal and more like Games Workshop finally admitting to what we already knew through pausing the cinematic trailer frame by frame. Like crazy conspiracy theorists examining blurry UFO footage. Every miniature was already in there. Space Marine Captain with shield, Chaplain with jump pack, Weird Boy, Duckerick. The War Boss showed up too, and even the duel that he makes when you place him opposite the Shield Captain was already in the trailer. As some of these models feel like genuine evolution in sculpting and cinematic posing, and some simply don't offer these possibilities because they are iconic designs that need to carry the brand. So here's everything I liked about the box, what works, what feels fresh, and where Games Workshop might be repeating certain design habits a little too much. Overall, I think it's a fantastic box, and that's mainly due to the orcs, so let's start with these. And first of all, we have what looks like 9 orc boys and an orc knob leader. And basically we're getting 10 character models with these, as they're a far cry from previous rank and file models when it comes to detail and design. Each of these look like an actual character. I like that they all have different facial expressions and different facial features, you know, not just 10 slightly altered copies of the same head. We also get a bit of storytelling with them, like that one guy pulling out the grenade pin with his teeth, or these mini squigs jumping around and bouncing off of them. The one that can barely see from under his hat is kind of funny. We have already seen this one in the previews, and I like the pose a lot. I think most of them have a good balance between looking dynamic and still carrying the weight of a bulky orc around. Besides the heads, I really like how they sculpted the muscles especially. I think this is a great refresh, still retaining the feeling of older orc boy styles with the right upgrades. Like the faces and the anatomy especially. The shapes look credible, not just blocky blobs of muscle stacked everywhere. Just look at the arms, they have some really great definition that is going to make them really fun to paint. Something we are already used to is that Games Workshop basically creates a handful of bodies and there's a ton of options to create double that number of minis, looking different enough to create variety with additional heads and head swaps, weapon options, different arms, and so on. And then of course we have the orc knob, and I like that he's bigger than the rest and not just another standard body with some extra details. Generally I like that on the table these orcs will have slightly different height levels, with some of them standing out from the rest. That's gonna look really interesting. And there's different weapon options and also some options for different trophies, back symbols and head options. And while there's obviously always the criticism of monopose minis, I think that this level of detail is only attainable through dropping the multipose approach. And as long as they give us so many options and extra bits to make our own versions of the minis we buy, I'm honestly fine with it. There's also 10 Gretchen in the box, and these Gretchen have a lot of details harkening back to early editions. Second editions with the Pickelhaube steel helmets, and the weapons are clearly inspired by the Gorkamorka grots. This is going to be a bit of a recurring theme here. The orcs clearly pay lots of tribute to earlier models, and I love that there is nostalgia in Games Workshop when it's convenient. But when I say Sanguinary Guard needs their wings back, because that's always been an iconic part of their appearance, I get booted from the partner program. Now, I like the retro feeling a lot, but I figured there's something off with these, and ultimately I think it's all of them having really downsized ears. And it's funny that when you see it, I'm pretty sure 99% of you will agree that they look better with the bigger ears, especially since this is the way we have always kind of known them. And the good thing is we don't have to imagine what I mean, because Orcbot, and I'd say to a guy with a name like that, I'll attest a lot of Orcs expertise, has made a few sketches illustrating exactly that. Like he says here, they lost a lot of their orcish character and just look a little too smooth. The bigger ears just help with the illusion of oversized heads on tiny and frail bodies. Maybe they had to make some sacrifices here to make these as little parts as possible to meet the push-fit approach of the box. But then again, it looks like the heads are separate from the bodies in most of them, or they are at least 2 parts. So undercuts and contact points can't really be the reason. Either way, I'll be curious to see if they keep this design for the multi-part Gretchen that will release later. When I saw the big boss on the presentation stream, I said that it has to be my favorite model this year, if not ever. The pose just works so well, especially in that turntable. It's really menacing, capturing a moment before pure violence. There's just so much drama thrown into the single model, and I like the big shoulders especially. The blocky axe with the cables attaching to the blade offers just so many options for painting, and I already won 3 of these, so I can try out all the ideas I have and have one on top that I can paint up for Golden Demon. When I think about Golden Demon entries, I usually always think about how to customize them and how to make them look better. This guy I just want to paint up out of the box, and that's the biggest compliment I can give to a mini, really. I love the way he's holding the axe, the lanky arms, really cool definition and muscle detail. Coolest model to me in the box by far. Next up we have the War Boss, and admittedly it's kind of hard to follow all the praise I had for the big boss, but I gotta say I'm not as excited for this War Boss as I am for the multi-part kit that leaked. What I like with this one is all the detail. The smaller banner is a nice touch. I like the bullet bandoliers on his back and that canister powering the axe, which is a really cool design too, looking all cobbled together, as is the orc style obviously, but it has a certain elegance to it with these aggressive angles and edgy curves. The helmet is a drawback again to earlier times with the horns and that iron jaw. It looks a little like he's playing The Floor is Lava, jumping from rock to rock though. I like the orc icon on top of the banner knob is holding, and I like the wavy banner itself. I really think these orcs are a step up as far as wavy material goes for Games Workshop. I like how the cloth shows this more angular way to fold up. To me that looks a lot more natural and like what you would expect a real heavy cloth banner waving in the wind to look like. I'm sure this is going to make a nice centerpiece in the army. I think the pictures don't really do it justice, but if you look at the turntable, we can see again how dynamic this model is. Like you can really feel him swinging that axe and the banner wave in the wind. Now I also like that we went a little over the top with some of these special orcs, like Dr. Painboy here. He's going to fix you up with the filthiest gear, and you can see some questionable procedures done to him, probably by himself. The pulled down surgical mask, the creepy finger attachments, and the white apron that reminds you more of a butcher than a doctor is a really cool feature. And of course the little Gretchen assistant also looks very creepy. The Weird Boy is another mini that's completely bonkers, and I really enjoy when the designers are allowed to go crazy like that. Just look at the face with the crazy eyes and how this is completely off the rails expression, and yet look how crisp the rest of the face is sculpted, like the mouth detail and the teeth. And all the bits and bobs coming out of his collar, the veins popping out on his body. Someone definitely had fun with this. And remember, all of this is push fit, and yet the Weird Boy still has 6 pieces. So while the requirement was assembly without glue, they still tried to not make any compromises with the final look of these minis. So they clearly designed these and tried to make them as awesome as possible, and then just said, okay, we'll just cut them up in as many pieces as we need to make this happen. The war track hasn't changed much since the first edition, and they stuck to the formula with this one too. And then on top, they just tried to have fun with it, I think. The crazy expression and demeanor of the driver, and then you would think they might phone in some of the parts that are not really the focus, but I like the detail on the arms of the guy in the back and so on. I'll admit though, orc vehicles never really appealed to me though, so we'll move right along into the next vehicle, the Big Mech Dakka. And well, that's a lot of Dakka indeed. Again, personally, I'm not a fan of the orc vehicles, but the giant gun in the front looks really cool. You gotta give them credit for designing this to the level of detail that they did. Like any angle you look at, you would see features that look like they could actually work. Like that center part mechanism that would allow it to walk and rotate. And I'll just leave you with a picture of the back to illustrate what I mean. There's just so many details, so many parts that look like they would be moving. This is really, I think, the most complex orc vehicle that we ever saw. Now let's move on to the Space Marines, and I gotta say, for the fact that they are Space Marines, most of them are looking quite good. And they still suffer from the problem that it's hard to make a Space Marine stand out because the basic shape is what it is, and you can't significantly change it around like with the orcs that got a distinct new anatomy direction. Less blobs on legs, if you catch my drift. So what do you do for Space Marines? Well, cloaks, ornaments, and more detail in general, which leads us into the captain with shield. And I gotta say, I love the second edition throwback paint job with the black flames pattern on the leg. And I really like the pose. The head looks decent. The cloak being pulled over one shoulder and then being held in place by that heraldry shield is also cool. I really like the idea behind posing him and the orc boss around each other as a duo, and for that purpose we fully upgraded from a tactical rock to a tactical boulder he is standing on. I guess this is what happens when tactical landmass inflation goes unchecked. And speaking about that, this librarian has decided that if the landmass won't inflate fast enough, he'll just move it himself. Jokes aside though, I feel like that little addition of movement to an already very dynamic model is a cool little feature. This one is very in line with the last few librarians. In fact, I could have sworn the face is exactly the same face the Leviathan librarian in Terminator armor has, and when I looked that up, I realized the last 4 librarians all kind of had a similar face. All of them flaunting the same beard that's also painted gray, and now I'm not sure if all librarians have to grow a beard, but jokes aside, I guess it's a throwback to this model from almost 15 years ago, which was a really cool model. Also, the best face that they ever sculpted in my opinion. The nostalgia is just rampant in this box. And while the whole model is cool and dynamic and all of that, I really like the dynamic cloak here in the back view. Also the way it's painted looks great. All that wear and the coat looks amazing. But I'm just not a fan of the librarian look in general, with all these hoses and cables sticking out of them and the psychic hoods. So again, not my favorite model, but that's probably because I wasn't just never feeling the general direction of librarians. The chaplain with jump pack is pretty badass as a concept. Skull helmet, crosiers in hand, ready to bludgeon some orc heads, leaping right into the action. To me it looks a bit like a mix of Lamartus and that generic chaplain with half a face that we got a while ago. And when I get the box, I'll probably modify mine into having a hood. Yes, I'm that guy. And move the Iron Healer back to the jump pack. This is a close combat brawler right out of Space Marine 2, and maybe that's why it's not necessarily my favorite approach to the archetype. It looks badass in a very particular way, but why I personally don't like it probably has 2 reasons. This guy has to be generic, so he fits every possible chapter you want to put him in, and that's fine. If you compare it to this one, for example, that's more like my fantasy of a chaplain. And I get that this guy is supposed to be jumping into the thick of battle with a squad to slap some fools around, with granting his unit +1 to wounds and his impressive leadership bonus, and he has to look the part. And with the recent move to more tactical marines, I guess this is just the design direction we get. And that's alright. I'm not saying it's bad, it's just a different fantasy that is serviced here. And I guess it's summed up nicely by the point of view footage and the action shots we get from this guy in the cinematic. Yeehaw! But I guess that's the beauty of Warhammer. There's always different alternatives out there and ways to customize your own models. And I'll definitely try to make this one work for me too. The Vanguard veterans continue that general idea. Solid generic base. This isn't about reinventing the wheel. But I like that we get some variation in the armor with the studs on this guy's shin guard and also the occasionally sprinkled in Mark 7 elements. The two-hander option is cool, really sums up what these guys think a battle should look like. In general, these jump pack marines look a little like the old generic ones. They showed this one off first and I literally had to go back to check if it's identical to the last one they released and whether they just swapped the chain swords for power swords. I like the ancient, not that we really needed another one as there are so many around already, but I guess it makes sense with a starter box to have all of these options in there. I didn't mention it before with the Vanguard veterans, but it's also true for them. The different chest iconography for these command models, like this guy, really looks cool with the Aquila being swapped for laurels. I like the more dynamic pose of the ancients just stand there contemplating their existence as a living banner pole. So I guess maybe we did need another one of these after all. The banner itself is also sculpted a little more dynamic, and the iconography itself is fun. The big Imperial Eagle, space for your chosen chapter badge in the middle here, and the burning orc skulls. I'm not a fan of the more blocky face, but that could just be the paint job. But the intercessors, I like that we get a few new and updated poses, like this guy playing Rainbow Six. Generally, they all look like they are in the middle of some action. Like this guy is reloading, he's throwing a grenade, this one is auspexing, and that guy is delivering the killing blow. We do have a little tactical rock inflation, but that's okay in my opinion. I always enjoy Space Marine bodies where the legs are on different levels because that gives them a more dynamic baseline, and it comes in handy when you want to show them as traversing level differences. You can simply cut off the rocks and place them on different terrain and your own unique bases without having to reposition the legs. A lot of these squads start to feel more like kill team releases where each of them is getting a little extra attention in one aspect or the other. I guess with the Space Marines that have to be as generic as possible so they can conform to as many different chapters as possible, it had to be the poses. And I really think with the monopose dilemma that Games Workshop maneuvered themselves into, at least they're trying to give us new expressive poses with each new release. That edged bullet detail, however, looks like it's a penis. And again, we're getting different armor mark elements. I just wish they didn't stop at switching out a helmet here and a shoulder pad there, but also added some different chest plates and different leg designs. With the Eradicator squad, I think it's also in the details. I never was a fan of Gravis armor, and I have heard rumors that this unit type was floated as a replacement for Terminator armor once, which would have been a horrible idea. But I kind of like the small shields at the front of the heavy bolters. Lots of customization potential here. I'll definitely freehand point this end at the enemy on one of mine if I ever get to paint them. I like the one that has empty bullet casings ejecting. It's just lots of added details that make these a bit more than they look like on first sight. I like that this one got caught mid-reloading and has to fire a sidearm instead. So it's lots of these small details where they are trying to innovate and make these something special. Land Speeders coming back was a bit of a surprise to me, but then again not really, because before the Storm Speeder came out, everyone was playing them in their army. And the Storm Speeder never quite caught on. It's not a particular pretty mini, and I guess also not particularly effective. The sleeker and smaller design of this Land Speeder is just lots better, in my opinion. And with their shoots and movability, it's not called that, but it's what it does, they will also be an interesting pick again. I'm kind of torn between hating and loving these pilots. With the more confined space in the vehicle, it somewhat makes sense that they are not wearing their giant shoulder pads. But what is going on with these helmets? I guess the idea is to distinguish pilots from regular Space Marines. On second thought, it's kind of cool to see a different take on these classic Space Marine helmets. So the Land Speeder doesn't necessarily excite me as a painter. I'd probably just do some panel modulation on each of these elements with the airbrush and then throw a lot of chipping on. But again, I love that this is back after the old Land Speeder went to Legends. This is exactly the oddity that characterizes 40k to me, and it's an iconic part of the 40k that I got into. So on the Space Marine side of the box, I'm a little less excited than I was when the Leviathan box came out. Like if you have Leviathan and the Indomitus box, you definitely don't need this one. You'll have a captain with sword and shield, you'll have 2 ancients, and certainly enough regular Marines in great poses. I'll still paint 1 or 2 models, and I'll be happy to source some bits for a few showcase models that I have in mind, particularly the banner of the Ancient. But I really look forward to painting these orcs. Again, the big boss is my favorite, but you could just pick any of these models at random and have a lot of fun painting it up, because they just look so characterful. In a way, these boxes always were Space Marine focused, because we all know that these are the moneymakers for Games Workshop, but in their own way, they always kicked off a great line refresh for the second faction in the box. Indomitus had the Necrons, and lots of these are still my favorite 40k models ever. Leviathan refreshed Tyranids, and now Armageddon does the same thing for the Orcs. And I don't think I would have bought the Space Marines on their own, because I have multiple versions of all of these units, and I suppose so does everyone else. But I'll spend a lot of time with these new Orcs, and hopefully you'll be along for the ride. Let me know what you think about these new minis. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.